period. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?
I need to get a crash something type of sound effect. I'm still people should comment sections. What should I get into the intro because it make it sound like something like from that like bang bang bang. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'm sorry after a whole week I got stuff at the and I can't do nothing. I got nothing. I know sitting it was bad. It was like bad what I was doing. So I'm able to come back here live New Haven. And I got an awesome guest who is a legend, bro, poetry legend, business owner, pillar for the community. His brother is everywhere. And I'm so grateful to have this platform. You guys, this is Jewel right here. Get your little notebook. Honestly, we should make Jewel notebooks because situations like this calls a joke because you're gonna get a jewels. And, for the dude, let's bring them on. Sharmont, Florence.
What's going on, man?
How's it going, brother? How's it going?
I'm beautiful, man. As I said, man, I never can complain, man. Life is good. Never complain.
So much for coming on for, man. And I apologize about trying to reschedule and stuff. I need to get it, man. Jesus Christ, so much guys that people don't understand when you do stuff like this. So much on the back gotta work on. So great that I was able to get you back. Tell me, bro, you have been doing this. How long have you just been a poet? Can we just start the poetry and what favorite poem from you when you talk about the black boy, and you about the violence and that goes on in the neighborhood. I can't think of the poem actually, but
it sounds like you're talking about the poem Black Boy. Where I talk about the gun violence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, to start off, I mean, I've been doing poetry for over 20 years. Well, I should say I've been doing poetry all my life, professionally, and turning it into a business for the last 15 years. I say 15 to 18 years. So, I was writing poetry when in middle school, pretty much, or a little earlier, when it wasn't cool to write poetry. Like you were called a punk, you know what I'm saying? You get into fights or whatever. If they found out a brother from the hood was writing poetry, oh, you were suspect at that point. Like, you know what I'm saying? You was a sucker. Everybody could try to pick on you, whatever. So during the day, you know, I was hanging with the fellas on the block or whatever, chilling or whatever my parents would allow me to do at that time. And then at night, my father played no games. So I was in the house reading books and reading dictionaries and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that my other friends would go home and play video games. I wasn't allowed to play video games until like the weekend. You know what I'm saying? So books and stuff like that. And my father teaching me about Black history and everything like that, about my history, was my video games during the week. Because my dad was also a Mason, so manhood and all that was a continued staple for him. So as far as the poem Black Boy, that came about from a combination of things. It came about one because I'm a nurse, and seeing young men shot and everything, and then being a home care nurse and a wound nurse where I go into the home after they have surgery or whatever, and I help heal them from the inside out when they have colostomy bag and urostomy bags, and they have all these other things, and they have wounds that have to heal by first intention, meaning they heal on their own from the inside out with help with dressing changes. I got sick of it, bro. It was like one summer, it was like I had like 7 to 8 young black men that I was just having to see every week, twice a week, and heal these brothers from the inside out. And I was like, I was like, yo, bro, this is crazy. And so everything in the poem is real. I had one young man that really asked me, because again, for a male to be a nurse was taboo. You know, people would think that was a female's position. He asked me, what is it to, why is it a black man? Why are you a nurse? And I broke it down to him. And basically, I'm a nurse because I wanted to make a difference in my community. And here I am helping you after gun violence. So that's how that poem came about.
Yeah. That's really awesome. I wear so many hats. And all I see you do is just space to inspire young with all the hats that you and that's just amazing, for someone like someone that's able to do. There's just so much like distractions of can I do what I want to without need to be like, okay, not everyone's going to be able to do what they want, choice, but be in 9 to 5s and 20 the jobs that you don't want. But that is showing that people from I'm from like are able to do inspires me so much to keep and only imagine the future and kids that touched hundreds of them, maybe even of them that will be inspired at, because that shows how black can continue. And my question for home and everything, we talk about the school shooting all the time, and I wish that, do you think there could be a dialogue about how, because we don't have school shooting from, we have just random violence and gang violence on that's guns, and like that we're losing that peace, and I think that peace should be a huge part when you're talking about school shooting. People can understand all aspects.
I'm trying to understand your question a bit. We have a little bit of a lag, but
sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Are you asking me, is there a difference? Where's the difference I see between our neighborhoods not having school shootings compared to other neighborhoods having school shootings?
Yeah, do you see a difference, or is like the same basically? And it should be a center, like how much they is saying about school with urban shootings.
Urban shootings, first of all, there's a difference between urban shootings and the mass shootings that you see. The urban shootings have a great deal to do for the lack of resources in the community, for a great deal. So if you put 2 lions in one cage and you put one piece of meat, they're going to fight over that one piece of meat, right? Mm-hmm. So in our communities, it's the same type of situation. There's a lack of resources from the top to the bottom. So there's a lack of resources with education. In many cases, there are a lack of jobs, and therefore parents being able to afford, these young people, some of the things that they value that society has told them that they need to have to be validated in school amongst peer pressure and other things like that. So there's limited resources for them to tap into. So they on these streets fighting for crumbs, pretending to be soldiers on these streets, like fighting for literally crumbs. I think that's the biggest issue or the biggest difference, I should say, between inner city gun violence and the mass shooting gun violence. Most of the time, when you see these mass shootings, the individual wasn't from poverty. The individual were able to get their hands on or able to purchase AK-47s and so forth, and all these other type guns. It's the whole construct of it is different. They're going in there shooting with the purpose for their own political. I mean, either they were bullied in school or for political views or something completely different than why our kids are wilding out in our neighborhoods. So yes, those two shootings are very different, very different situations and why they happen.
Yeah, I agree, and I think so interesting about how our culture here in the society with both different aspects from suburban to urban. Gun violence is so prevalent and such an issue. And it's like how we combat this with picking at both sides and trying to fix it. And I really don't know the answer, honestly. Seeing the
I think part of the answer for us is financial equity and being financially free and having more productive and positive resources within the community for education, for opportunity, to see themselves more than either basketball, football players, or either drug dealers, right? For brothers like myself who have quote unquote made it out as far as their education and stuff, come back and show them that you can be from these same neighborhoods and travel the world doing poetry. You could be from these same neighborhoods and become a nurse. You can come from these same communities and you can write books. You can come from the same communities and you can be a CEO of a company. Because what they fail to realize, and one of the other poems that I've written and that I wrote, it said, if someone told our kids that cooking crack was actually chemistry and bagging up a wet 150 to make 400 was the foundations of economics, maybe our babies would go to college, right? So if they knew innately they were businessmen and entrepreneurs, maybe they would make that choice to put down the gun and pick up the book a little more, or if they had the resources to show them programs. And let's just say we had a STEM program where you set up and you actually have mock business. Like when I went to school, we were able to do mock businesses inside of school and ran the school store or things that need to show us the entrepreneurial spirit of what can happen, right? These young men out here today that are out here hustling and selling drugs, these young men are entrepreneurs in the greatest sense. They understand supply and demand. They understand how to take and put money aside and then put money back into your business. They understand all these things. They understand peak time. They know their peak time for their particular product is the first of the month between the 1st and the 15th. You know what I'm saying? They understand business, right? But they're just not molded all the time in the right direction, or either their despair of not having is so misguided and not put in the right direction to where they continue on with the same cycle of what's going on.
Yeah, I definitely agree because whatever. Like I'm just gonna put myself, like I used to sell, and everything that you said is exactly how I used to sell. You literally that you got all backed up, really priced out, sells. You're paying the guy that you're getting it from. He'll probably give you a disc or something, but you got to make sure that you're enough that you get a profit and also pay him back as well too. and I would do that. But if I have the business mindset of taking what I learned from that, doing it into the world, it's exactly I could have accomplished. Just understand, and especially with I went to college, and I took that same like with the roof and everything, and see exactly how I can get these adjusters, insurance, progressive, and Geico and stuff like that. How can I get them to buy the roof and stuff like that? And I learned how to talk to these people off of like how I was able to talk to people that off of from the street. So I think it's really shows that our community has and it's given the bad the stick, and we know how to put that in a positive way. And the war on drugs is a whole story. But anyway,
Yo, one of the
oh
greatest.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. One of the dopest videos I seen was a white coach on a football field take all of his black players and tell them to line up on the goal line, and then tell all the white players to line up on the 20-yard line or the 30-yard line. And he said, you guys are going to race, and explain to them that white children have a greater head start in life. And if giving the right tools, even with the disadvantage that black kids had, these black kids still probably, the majority of them will probably still beat you to the finish line at the other end of the field. I thought that was one of the greatest examples of who our children and who we really are, that even at disadvantages, if we're given the proper opportunity, I think that's the biggest fear of America, is that what we can become if we were given more opportunity and more resources. You see a lot of the great things that we do with them, they're nothing. You know what I'm saying? So if they were, just imagine if they were given a level playing field, level financing, level schools, level education processes, level curriculums. Imagine if they were given that.
Mm-hmm.
If they were given that, I think that, like I said, I think that's the biggest fear of America.
And what you're talking about is another aspect of reparations that's not spoken about as much. A lot of the cultural stereotype is that they just want money. They want money, and yeah, it costs trillions of dollars to give out what we hold. But it's understanding the prestige of getting into these colleges and how there are legacies, white legacies that are already aspect to their father went to Yale, their uncle went to Yale, their sister went. There's a lot of prestige and acknowledgement of putting in a resource to that community so they can thrive. It has already been embedded in the system. We just ask black people that we know that you are getting privileges. So why privileges to the people who have built this country and who have been forced to build this country?
Yeah. You know what the other thing is? It's crazy, right? I'm gonna put another onus on us, right? It's not all that. A lot of our kids, a lot of us didn't listen. So one of the things that I was a little upset about, my sister is a doctor. She's a dentist, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I went to her graduation at the University of Maryland, she couldn't be sashed by her mother. She couldn't be sashed by me. She couldn't be sashed by nobody else in our family. While all the other kids were being sashed by their family members. Why? Because all of the family members of the other children were all also doctors. You can only be sashed by a doctor, right? So there were generations of dentists. The grandfather was a dentist. The father was a dentist. Now the grandson or granddaughter was a dentist. So they were enjoying this whole situation together. They followed in the footsteps, right? Our children have been told for so long not to follow exactly what we do. So I became a nurse. I've proven to my children, the financial blessings you can get from nursing, if you take the nursing money and you be productive and positive with that money and put it in the right spaces and do the right things, right? They still choose to do whatever it is their heart desires, which they understand there's room for that. So let's just say, real quick, let's just say my daughter wanted to be a dancer. Beautiful. Dancers can make money. Dancers can have a great life and whatever, doing what you love. I wanted to be a poet, but I also knew that I had to live. So becoming a nurse afforded me the financial ability to have a stable living environment and then work an overtime shift or two and take that money and fuel my dream with it until my dream was able to walk on its own. So now I don't have to work multiple jobs if I don't want to. I have 3 other businesses that I take that make money for me. But since I choose to continue working as a nurse, I can now take my business money and stack it up for my future. But our kids, we have to connect to our kids to get our kids to follow in some of the footsteps that we're doing as far as career choices, and then teach them that you can do that and then take and finance your dreams of whatever you want to do. I spend more time doing poetry and artistic things than I do being a nurse. So
yeah, that's dope. And pivoting to that, how did you get started with touring from work hard? Like, first of all, that is dedication to be able to, because nurses you're behind on hours. Like, the fact that you're able to hold this and tour for poetry, being a nurse is absolutely incredible. How are you able to do that?
But it takes a lot of balancing. It takes a lot of being very strategic with what time you do have off. It also takes some knowing what rules and regulations are within nursing, within employment to get the time that you need, even if you don't have PTO time to use. But that goes into something different. But it takes hard work and dedication. So I would say, okay, I'm going on vacation. Like, for instance, when I went on tour in 2019, I took a week and a half off of work, and I sat and mapped out exactly where I wanted to go. So I went through Connecticut, went up upstate New York, went over to Philly, jumped on a plane, went over to Cali, went over to performed in Las Vegas. I just did a complete tour. And the way I was able to do that and be able to hit all these venues was because I was a slam poet. And so going to what at that time was considered nationals, making a name for myself and connecting with people led me the opportunity for them to say, yeah, I know you're a dope poet. So if you call me, I'm going to book you for whatever you have. But yeah, it's a devastating balancing act to try. My wife and my daughter actually is about to come in the door right now. It's a devastating balancing act to do it. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of dedication, but I love it. I love it. For many years, I did poetry for nothing. I did it for free. People weren't always paying me for it. It's what I love. So it made it easier when I got paid, when I'm getting paid for it. Yeah, that made it that much easier. You know what I'm saying? So it was great. It was great. Yeah, I can go ahead. Yeah. Smari, don't you fall.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. My daughter's coming from physical therapy. She tore her, again, the dancer. She tore her ACL and MCL. So she coming from physical therapy. So
they get injured a lot. I remember in art school, I always hear about a dancer like getting injured, and I'm like, God, y'all are strong.
They are.
I could never do that. But so did you join the Connecticut team when you went to nationals?
Yeah. So what happened was the Connecticut team was in session for almost, I want to say, close to 7 to 10 years. Out of that, I probably was on 5 to 6 teams. It's a competition. You have to go through preliminaries, semis, and ultimately go to finals and actually make the team. So yeah, I battled my way through a lot of poets to be able to fight my way on a team. A couple times, I was trying to build business, and I didn't really want to be on a team at that time, but things have happened, and they went and the team would call me and say, "Listen, can you join the team because we want you to be on here, and we really don't have no one else to pick, and we know you don't." So they was like, "Yo, can you join us?" So a couple times,
out of the state, by the way, like out of the state, just to let people know, like find nobody to replace Influence out of the state.
But yeah, so I've been blessed, man. So doing the slam team was a blessing for me. I always tell people I owe poetry way more than poetry can ever owe me. People just think it's just poetry, bro. Poetry afforded me when the job had all, well, when life had all my money tied up, poetry afforded me the opportunity to be able to make more money, man. There was times where I was broke and I would tell my wife, be like, "Yo, I'm about to take a ride out to Boston and I'm about to win this $100 and win this slam real quick because, you know, my daughter's birthday is at the end of the week and we ain't got enough money to buy her cake or nothing." So I would go down there and battle and win a slam down in Boston or New York, and I would bring the money back home, man. Poetry afforded me the opportunity to be able to do that. And then not just money, the people that I've been able to meet. How many people can say they've been in Abi Odune's living room and sat down with Abi Odune from the Last Poets? You feel me? Who can tell me before he passed that I would be able to sit down and talk with a Mary Baraka? You know, like the people that I've met, the friends that I have made, the connections that I've made, and now poetry has put me on a platform where I'm able to write curriculums for social skills, coping skills, and conflict resolution using the vehicle of poetry. So now poetry has now put me into schools and being sought after as a motivational speaker, poet, and workshop coordinator for social emotional learning. Like poetry did that for me, you know? So
yeah. And it influence the life. See? That's absolutely dope. And so you just basically with Influence Life LLC, you work with a lot of kids.
I work with them, but what primarily focused on kids, primarily focused on social and emotional learning for children, being able to help them get a voice instead of having all this pent up anger, which some of our young men and young women have in our communities. If you give a child an outlet, in my case, you give them a pencil or a pen, and you give them a topic, an emotional topic, but don't tell them what they have to write. Tell me your feelings and your story, and just step away. What you will get will actually amaze you. The intellect that you get, the sincerity you get, and the realness you get from these young people talking about what bothers them, where their pains are, it's incredible. I have social workers that come to me and be like, social workers and counselors that come to me and say, "Yo, how did you get this out of them? I've been in sessions with them for over a year and they never talked about this because I wasn't talking to them. I gave them the pen to let them talk to the paper, and then in turn teach them how to stand and present so the world will have to listen to them. So now you hear what's really on their mind." I don't stifle them, you know. Sometimes the things they say are painful. To hear a young lady say that she feels like her mother hates her, and her mother keeps saying to her that you look like your father. Well, she doesn't understand that her mother's not mad at her. Her mother's mad at her father. Her mother, every time her mother looks at her, she sees her father and realize all the things that he did to her. So her attitude she takes on her. And then when you explain that to her, and then this young lady writes a poem about that, bruh, it will crumble you. It will crumble
Yeah.
you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. That's again, that's what poetry does for me, man. It
Right.
it really does, and it keeps me humble and everything, man. But it's all for these kids, man. They need it. Everything I do is circled around helping the kids.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
feeding families. If it wasn't for me feeling that kids are not having the adequate, at least the adequate holiday dinners they should, that my children would have, then I wouldn't do that aspect of it too, the feeding families on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel you so much on just being able to let kids be able to like open themselves up. What age are these kids, by the way? Do you do?
I tailor workshops. So the workshops are based on the needs of the establishment, after school program, or school. So
Mhm.
a lot of my work right now are coming with middle school students. But I've worked
Mm.
as young as second and third graders, and high school and college students, and I've done workshops with adults and stuff too. I mean, I do educational workshops for teachers to teach them how to kind of do what I do to get to their children, especially English teachers and lit teachers, when it comes to writing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I so do you remember? I don't know if you remember. In Bridgeport, there was a group called MYO Mio. That it was at um, the RISAP building. It was the Burrows in Black Rock. It was in the Burrows.
I don't remember off the top of my head, no sir.
No problem. Because I got that experience of what you're talking about with kids from doing that, and just I came in ignorant, early 20s, thinking it's just kids. But these kids made me cry one day. Just hearing how they go through it, we go back past, and which was only like 3 years ago. And I was at that age and think about the traumas that I saw other people go through, and then what I was dealing with, and then I felt I would enough because my parents weren't as poor as their parents were. Like there's so much that these children keep in and stuff like that. So in order for
Right.
them to like get it out, and you're doing things that the social worker could. That's absolutely incredible. Like you said, poetry is just an outlet. What is the difference between poetry and hip hop to you? Do you think that hip hop has that same space, but is it a different type of, or is it a different
I
type of space?
I think hip hop can most definitely be that space, because when I was coming up, even though I had poetry, I couldn't do it in an outward sense because poetry wasn't looked at as hip hop, or vice versa. So they were two separate things, not knowing that
Hmm.
most rappers love poetry. So in itself, um, hip hop definitely has that same space. To me, the only difference between hip hop and the form of poetry that I do, which is called spoken word, is that hip hop rappers are trapped inside of a box. And when I say that, it's not a negative thing, but they
Hmm.
have to go to a beat. They have to go to a beat. They have to spit these bars, the D16 to this level, right? When it comes to a spoken word artist, you can give me a Mozart beat, or you can give me a Van
Hmm.
Halen beat, and I can spit any poem you pick in my catalog to either one of them tracks and make it sound good, because I control my cadence. In
Yeah.
hip hop, the track controls your cadence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So to me, that's the only difference. Because even now, hip hop, at, at least battle rap version of hip hop, has been infused into spoken word. The young man who is greatly responsible for that name is Black Chakra out of Baltimore. He's been able to fuse battle rap, even entitled himself the battle poet, because his bars and punchlines within spoken word are that of a battle rapper. And the
I gotta
style
look this guy up.
Oh, Black. Oh, you got it. Black Chakra's a monster. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's a cool dude. Shout out to Black Chakra. If you ever get to watch this brother, congratulations. He's also a new father. World watch out, because that means he's even hungrier, because children will make you go harder than you already go. But that young man is responsible for creating the new vibe that's coming out with spoken word being spit in the form of bars. Every stanza is a created bar. You know what I'm saying? So, which is different from the poetry that I came up from. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Do you consider yourself a spiritual leader in that sense? I know that's a left question, but I'm just thinking, like, because of everything that you do is what they expect spiritual leaders to be able to accomplish.
I take and I run from that statement, and here's why.
Okay.
in my family, I have ministers and preachers within my family, and because of spoken word and people that I have follow me and listen to me, I have an aunt. I love her to death, my Aunt Bunny. She sat me down one day in front of my family and she told me, she said, and mind you, this is how she started the conversation. She goes, "Why are you running?" Huh? Now this about 5 years ago. She said, "Baby, you running." She said, "You supposed to be preaching. God has a message to come through you." I said, "Yeah, Bunny, I don't want to be no preacher." I said, I'm like, with all due respect, y'all get crucified. You can't be human as a preacher. You mess up, they hang you for it. You know, you can't just. I'm good. To answer your question directly, I don't feel like I'm a spiritual leader. I hope to motivate people to do the right thing in their heart. Because spirituality is so vast into what you believe and how you believe. I wouldn't claim to be that for no one. I would hope to be someone that you would want to model after for, say, let's say, like I said, I feed families every Thanksgiving and Christmas. I give them, just to tell them what I do. I give a whole turkey, every vegetable that's on the counter, a box of stuffing, a box of mashed potatoes, a pie, cranberry, everything that you would have on your table as a family pretty much for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. I provide that and I give it away for free. All it takes is a referral. I need their name, their number, so I can contact them, and we deliver it about a week or so before the holiday actually comes, and it's free of charge. There's no money involved at all. The money all comes from me, and it comes from the sale of my clothing line, the Influencer Life apparel, which are my hoodies and t-shirts, and about to be a whole lot more. And some of my shows. That's how I do that. So I hope someone would take that and follow that, because I followed it and made it bigger from my dad. My dad used to be the manager and supervisor at Popeye's Chicken, and I watched him for years feed people for free who didn't have, and I just took it a step further. So I hope to be that person that opens up your humanity for people. And as a poet, I just hope to be a positive example. Hopefully my poetry can touch you in a way to where it impacts you in some kind of way, some positive way. But spiritual leader, nah, bro, I don't want
that one. Yeah, I told you it was a little left right there. So, Poets Realm, so something that you doing is twice a month now.
Yes.
Now it's twice a month.
Yeah, it's twice a month. It became a lot with everything that I do. I couldn't do it every Wednesday anymore. So I talked to the team, which is myself, Belcher Digital, which is Latif Belcher, and Goddess Tamani Rain, and DJ D Dub. I talked to them. I said, listen, guys, I can't do this every week anymore. I'm coming from New Haven, rain, sleet, hail, or snow, to Bridgeport on Wednesdays. I can't. So let's scale it back. Let's do it twice a month and focus on those 2 times. So it's every first Wednesday and every fourth Wednesday. And it's been a great thing because it builds up anticipation and things of that nature. So yeah, but yeah. So I have Poetry Realm from my man Ernell. Shout out to Ernell who founded Poetry Realm.
Oh, okay. So I was the founder, and then later on you got involved, and then you build a team.
Right. So what happened was, for years, Poetry Realm is a staple in the community, Bridgeport community. Poetry Realm, I think we're going on our 16th or 17th year in Bridgeport. Nice. Poetry Realm was started by a brother named Ernell, who was out of Hartford, who's also a veteran. And he was part of a group called the Balanians, which was a poetry group out of Hartford. And then he moved for work and family. He moved to Bridgeport, and he started the venue Poetry Realm. And we've gone and we've moved around a lot, but we end up being at BPT Creates for a number of years now. But then he moved to Florida and created Poetry Realm in Florida, right? For his job, he moved to Florida, and they had a couple other hosts and stuff like that. It didn't quite work out, and he was getting ready to end it. And this was about 2019, right after my tour. And he was like, listen, Influence, man, can you host it? Can you do it? Because if you don't, I'm going to have to let it go away. It's not going to exist anymore. And I couldn't let that happen. So right after that tour, I decided that I was going to do more work in the state with trying to cultivate poets, cultivate slam poets, cultivate community, be a leader, and try to be an example for the young men in the area, the poets that were coming through and stuff like that. And so I took it on, and the team that was there, DJ D Dub and the photographer Latif, and Goddess Tamani Rain came on a year and a half ago. And yeah, so that's what you have us, and I've been doing it ever since, hosting it every first and fourth Wednesday.
And yeah, and then the talent range there, and then like just even the networking is just it's a hub of creativity. It really is, and I need to get back over there, man. I haven't been there in a minute. Like I apologize too, but it's financial issue and trying to get back into it with health and everything.
Right.
And but I need to get back because like every time I went there, it was a good time, and need that type, especially in Bridgeport. Bridgeport don't have that much. But that type of opportunities to go to somewhere that's safe and where you can come back. Damn, like, dude, you got R&Bers there, you got rappers, you got. I did there once. You got types of Moses Gom, like so many aspects of just black artistry.
Fact.
Just beautiful black artistry. I have never seen anything like it down here. Anything like it. Like when I did the nonprofit in my days, and they were trying to get me to create a space that, it's looking up to you. Like, I wonder how you did it and stuff like that. And look, but it was just, dude, this is a lot of work. It is not.
It is a lot of work, bro. That's not easy. Finding I try to do features every fourth Wednesday, and have it a open mic every first Wednesday. But it's not easy finding the talent. I wouldn't say it's hard. The talent comes through. I'm just trying to look and see who is ready for at least a 15-minute set. And if I see something in them, I'm like, you know what? I think they're ready. A lot of times Poetry Realm gives artists their first featured opportunity. And like there's a young man named Note out of Jersey, and Poetry Realm was his first actual feature. From since then, he's opened up for other rappers and stuff like that. That's what Poetry Realm is, man. Poetry Realm is family. I don't like to call places safe, because anytime you get more than one idea inside one room, it's no longer safe, because everyone in the room may not agree with you. So for some people, that's not safe for them, especially in this time. But what I will call it is an opportunity to speak your mind and say what's on your mind, as long as you're not being disrespectful to others. As we say, you talk your ish. And Poetry Realm is family. When you come, we're gonna show you love. Whether your poem is about mental anguish, whether your poem is about suicide, whether your poem is about rape, whether your poem is about confusion, whether your poem is happy, we're gonna cheer. We're gonna be right along happy with you. Poetry Realm is a total community thing. I do little things at Poetry Realm to push the idea of community by asking how many people in the room have a business, and I give everybody in the room who raises their hand an opportunity to tell everybody in the room what their business is. And I do that again because of opportunity in our communities, to understand we really don't have to go outside of our community for anything. Everything is in there. So when my sister is in there, other people are in there. We have dentists in the building. We've had lawyers. We've had teachers. We have financial advisors. We've had myself, a nurse. We've had hairstylists. We have, you name it. We have these things in our community. The fact is that we need to network and understand who we are and make these connections to build equity in our own neighborhoods and utilize our own resources. Our dollar stays in our community less than any other dollar from any other cultural group in the world.
That's
so
but that's so many times.
So that's the goal of Poetry Realm, man, just to understand and have community, and it's surrounded around poetry, bro.
Yeah, and it gives me the vibes about like how people like comics, they talk about like how there's a club where they go to where they feel like they're family. It gives that vibe for the art too there, because you go and you don't only go there to learn, to like listen. You go there, you just network, you learn, you get a lot of different other opportunities coming out, and you come back and you get it. And that shows the build and the hard work to mold some type of vibe and environment like that that you are doing. So can't believe it was 2019. I'm like 2019. I felt like here forever.
No,
that's
2019.
Wow. That's absolutely dope. But shouts out to Razul too for that amazing spot.
Facts.
My brother is such a great brother for everything he does and everything. I gotta ask, how did you meet Razul?
Well, I met Razul because of Ernell asking me to come there. So when he asked me to come there, I didn't frequent Poetry Realm that much when it was at BPT. Mm-hmm. I frequent Poetry Realm more when I was getting my chops up and practicing my poems to try to push myself out there in the world. So most of my work with Poetry Realm came when it was at the Innovation Center on Connecticut Avenue.
Oh, got you. Yep. I know where that's at. Yep.
So when it moved, and then it went to M White Lounge for a little bit, and then it moved from M White Lounge, then it moved to BPT Creates. But by that time, I was already influenced. I was already slamming and competing and trying to win slams and on the road and trying to get my name out there. So I didn't frequent BPT Creates that often until Ernell was like, "Yo, Enf, I need you to do this for me, man. Can you keep it going for me?" And so that's how I met him. And that I went in and talked to him, and we talked about business and stuff. And then we got to know each other a bit. He actually created one of my first logos for Influencer Life to give me the idea based on what I wanted. Because people don't know how talented Roz is as far as a digital designer. Yeah, as far as a digital designer, he's a digital designer. He fixed bikes. He's in politics in his community. He's like the brother is so dope. You know what I'm saying? He is a pillar, one of the pillars of Bridgeport. So yeah, but that's how I met him because of taking over Poetry Realm.
That's awesome, man. I see that we're closing in on our time right here. So definitely give you one last question before we close out, because this is definitely a lot, and I hope a lot of people learn. Let's talk about the business aspect for young people that really don't know. How do you know that you're ready for LLC? Basically, what are the preparations in our community that makes you ready to know that you can do it with whatever side gig, or not side gig, but with any business type of a podcast, for instance. What preparations should we have for?
Well, always reading on what it is that you want to do and how you're supposed to do it is one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself. But when you're ready to do your LLC, when you're ready to create your business and you're ready to own your business, I would tell you to wherever state or wherever you in, find out what the rules and regulations are for establishing it, and then you want to own your name. So you want to take and get copyrights and everything for your name to make sure no one else can take your name. And you want to build your product, build your website, and all those other things to start getting out there. But you're ready for an LLC when you're ready to say, I want to create a business. You can create your LLC and have your name, but not have your whole business structure completely together. Just have you can have the idea of what, because it's going to ask you on the paper, what is your LLC about? You know what you want to do. You just don't know exactly how you're going to do it. So you can get your LLC and get your name and copyright your name and copyright yourself, so you own your own entity, and then build your business up from there and expand it from that point. And then from that point, you learn how to make it into an S corp and so forth and so on, and have it so it becomes an actual tax break for you and separate from your name and separate entity and things of that nature.
And I love tax breaks. I gotta tell y'all that. That's one of the things to talk about. Especially when I was on that day of 1099, man. Well, Influence, brother, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm definitely going to put the information, guys, on Poets Realm and his LLC. And do you have a link for your? Can you send me a link for your clothing line and everything?
Yeah, I can send you the link, but I can also tell you, you can follow me on Influence a Life LLC. You'll see my logo up there. You can follow that. And you can also follow me on influence_a_life, and that's my page, my page where you see my performances and stuff like that. And my website is influencealife.com, where you can go on there and buy your t-shirts and hoodies and support the efforts that I use to feed families and stuff like that. Any help is greatly appreciated.
That's absolutely dope. Thank you so much, Influence, for coming on. And I hope you can enjoy the rest of your evening. It's hot out there, so keep cool, bro.
All right, you too, man. Much love. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I love the platform, bro.
Thank you, brother. And everybody out there, if you like what you're hearing, like, share, subscribe, donate, or join the subscription, which is $1.99 to $4.99 to $10, whichever one you feel best with. We're going to have perks coming out soon on that, so definitely keep a lookout and have a really, really good day, everybody. And I'll talk to you later, Influence.
All right, man. Peace, man. Love everybody. Show your greatness.
Yep.
Blank period, yeah. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain.